With that being said, we switch over now to our Mariners-related news. A 5-1 road trip is never bad. There was something really interesting that happened in the game yesterday, the Sunday matchup against the Angels. So we'll take a look at that. And then a trade happened earlier this morning. So let's get right into the Mariners news. We will look at our scores here from the Oakland series, the start of the California road trip on the 21st at the Oakland Athletics, an 8-2 victory. Player of the game, center fielder Julio Rodriguez. Julio going 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 RBIs, blasting a 2-run homer in that game as the Mariners put on a pretty nice display of offense, something that I'm not used to saying really this season, at least not consistently. On the 22nd at the Athletics to secure the series victory. They win 9-0. So a nice shutout victory there. I believe George Kirby had a nice effort in that matchup as well. Player of the game, left fielder Jesse Winker. Don't forget Winker's name because we'll come back to it later in the segment. Winker, 2 hits on the day, 1 run, 3 RBIs, and a walk. I believe that Winker also homered in that first game as well. And then this game on the 23rd. So you complete the sweep. Obviously, you see that with the broom little graphic that we have on the Athletics logo there, a little silly kind of thing. But a 2-1 victory. Player of the game, pitcher Robbie Ray going 6 innings, allowing only 4 hits, 1 run, an earned run, that is, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts. So another great performance by Robbie. Anytime that you just give up the 1 run, there's not much more you can ask outside of a shutout. That's perfectly brilliant. This Athletics game on the 23rd was one of the most bizarre things that I've ever seen. Seattle was getting no hit through, I believe, 7 innings by Frankie Montas. They record their first few hits. I don't think they got any hits in the 9th inning, the top of the 9th. And I think it was AJ Puck came in to relieve for the Athletics, walked 4 batters, and then 2 Mariners scored on 2 different wild pitches. You get your 2 runs that you saw there. The Mariners come in to close it out. I believe it was I think it was Paul Sewald, actually. Paul Sewald comes in and finishes the game off, and they sweep the Athletics. It was one of the most bizarre baseball games that I have witnessed, where you're getting no hit through 7 and a great performance. Going into the bottom of the 9th, you're still losing by a run. You tie it up with a wild pitch with the bases loaded, and then you do it again. I don't know what to tell you. I've never seen anything like it. We'll now move over to the Angels series. So continuing that California road trip, heading up down the road to Anaheim, to the Angels. On the 24th at the Angels, a 4-3 win. Player of the game, third baseman Eugenio Suarez, going 3 hits, 1 run, 1 RBI, and a walk. So filling up different aspects of the hitting stat sheet. On the 25th, a 5-3 win. Player of the game, first baseman Kevin Padlo. Yes, Kevin Padlo. And we'll get to why Padlo was in there at first base when we get to injury-related news. So as many of you know, I'm sure it's not good stuff. Padlo with 1 hit and 2 RBIs. On the 26th, a 2-1 loss to the Angels. Player of the game, second baseman Abraham Toro, accounting for the Mariners' only run with a solo shot. Before we get to the injury-related news, and anything else, it's the last game of both series was very interesting in 2 different ways. On the 26th, there's some history here. So when the Mariners played the Angels back here in Seattle, Justin Upton, who used to play with the Angels, was hit in the head by one of the Angels pitchers, and was able to. It was actually on the 17th. I remember that. That was my birthday. I was there, and he was able to play in the next game, pretty astonishingly. With that being said, I think it was the 25th game against the Angels that Eric Swanson threw a ball, lost control of it, and it got near Mike Trout, got near his head, but it didn't hit him. Remember that. It did not hit him. The next day, it was going to be, I believe it was going to be like a bullpen day for the Angels. Their announced starter was Jose Suarez. Instead, I think a rookie by the name of Andrew Wantz starts the game as an opener for the Angels and throws in the direction of Julio Rodriguez, and I believe he hit him. So that happens. Later on in the second inning, Wantz hits Jesse Winker. Winker gets hit, does not like it. Skirmish breaks out. So you might potentially, there's a whole fight. There's a whole video of it. There were actual punches thrown. I know that when these benches clearing brawls happen, there's not necessarily any real punches thrown. There were real punches thrown. So you might be looking at suspensions for Scott Service, because anytime the bench is clear, really the manager is given some sort of penalty. Scott Service, JP Crawford, Julio Rodriguez, Jesse Winker. I know those four were ejected from that game, at least on the Mariner side of things. There was a lot that happened in that. I believe one of the Angels relievers took a giant box of sunflower seeds and threw it onto the field for no reason. There was no one on the field at the time, and he just threw it onto the field. There was a lot going on. A Mariners fan ordered a pizza from a pizzeria in Anaheim and sent it to the Mariners clubhouse so that Winker could have it, and he got it. That was a whole big thing on Twitter. The 26th was a very eventful game. So getting into the more serious aspect of things, when we might hear about these suspensions, I'm sure we'll hear about these at some point later today, perhaps, or maybe even tomorrow. Expect to see several of the Mariners players appeal these just because of the way that things have gone. But considering that Trout was thrown near the night before, and there was the thing with Upton in the last series, the umpire crew should have been aware of how things went. With Julio being hit earlier, there was just a lot of things that went into it where a lot of baseball, the fan base as a whole, was really upset with the way that the Angels took things. So it makes the Angels series going forward a little bit more exciting. So we'll look over here to Player of the Week, who, funny enough, also in that 26th game, Jesse Winker flipped the double bird to the Angels faithful at Angel Stadium as he was leaving the field. And it's not for that. It's not for any of the fight-related stuff. My Player of the Week is Jesse Winker. Winker had a great week. He went 9 for 18 in his plate appearances. Really had a solid series against the Athletics. You can just look at the stats on your screen there. Had a really solid past week, and you'd love to see him be able to continue that. But this suspension might throw him off. If you're in a rhythm, you want to keep doing things, right? You don't want to take a break necessarily, and that might be an issue that Winker runs into here. So it's kind of funny that there was a fight, but he had a great week, so he's my Player of the Week. There's no other story behind it. Do I like that there's some fight and knowing that there's some character in these Mariners? Yes, I do. I like knowing that. But it was really cool to see. And Winker, I would love for him to keep up that form, because we need that offensive presence that he can bring, the all-star level that he had last year. I'm not saying this past week was that. To see any semblance of that would be huge for this offense. But yeah, we don't have any news on suspensions as of this moment, as we are a little bit earlier afternoon on Monday. But we'll be sure to keep you updated on that as that progresses. In terms of injury-related news, on the 23rd in that Oakland series, Ty France was injured making a play at first base. A collision between France and an Oakland base runner sees Ty's left arm get bent back. Ty's early x-ray came back negative. He was set to have an MRI. So that was a good sign initially that there was nothing broken. We'll get to that here in a second. Also, in injury-related news, on the 23rd, it was announced that catcher Tom Murphy is out for the year with season-ending shoulder surgery. He exhausted every possible option, trying to, get that shoulder back, trying to really get back into baseball form, but really had no other option outside of surgery, considering all of the circumstances. So that really sucks to lose Murphy. He was a guy that I have to admit, going into the season, I would have liked to add a catcher. I would have liked to see Cal Raleigh really find his form, which he is, funny enough, but losing Murphy is a big deal because he had been hitting the ball well, and he had just been a really good asset to this team to begin the year. So that sucks, and hoping Tom the best in his recovery, and hoping to see him back sooner rather than later. On the 25th, the same goes for Ty here. We got an injury update on Ty. He has a grade 2 flexor strain in his left forearm. He's on the 10-day IL now, retroactive to the 24th, I believe, but it said that he's feeling better. Someone put a timeline out there of 22 to 28 days. Pardon me, not games, days. So we'll see how that goes, because losing Ty for even 10 days, even a few days, is a detriment to this team and really hurts them. So we'll just keep an eye on that, and we'll see how that moves. But that definitely really sucks for this ball club. Moving over here to team-related news and roster moves. Before we get to that trade that I mentioned, we have some roster moves that took place over the past week. On the 20th, right-handed pitcher Ken Giles was reinstated from the 60-day injured list, so Giles is finally with the Mariners and has made his debut. Infielder Kevin Padlo was recalled from AAA Tacoma. Left-handed pitcher Roenis Elias and right-handed pitcher Sergio Romo were both designated for assignment, so I believe there was a cutoff for the teams to get down to 13 pitchers and 13 position group players, and they have done that now. So it sucks to see both Elias and Romo DFA'd, but Elias at least joins the club back later. On the 22nd, right-handed pitcher Joey Gerber was released from the roster. He had been DFA'd prior, and then right-handed pitcher Sergio Romo was also released from the roster. It does suck to lose Romo. He is a great veteran presence to have, and he had been pitching relatively well to begin the season. But in his last few outings, he had just really struggled. Playing against Mike Trout will also do that to you, but it just was an unfortunate circumstances there. On the 23rd, Roenis Elias was outrighted to AAA Tacoma following his designation for assignment. So Elias was essentially sent out to be a free agent, and he elected to return to the club. So that's really cool to see, and I would imagine that we see Elias back with the Mariners at the big league level at some point this season. On the 25th, Drew Ellis, an infielder, was recalled from AAA Tacoma. He was involved with a trade last week. And then on the 27th, that trade that I was talking about, the team acquired first baseman / designated hitter Carlos Santana from the Kansas City Royals, which is funny because Santana has actually had a stint with Seattle before, but they elected not to keep him. The Mariners received first baseman / designated hitter Carlos Santana, and the Royals received right-handed pitchers Wyatt Mills and William Fleming. So if you look at Santana's stats on the year, it's nothing too incredible. I believe he's batting .216 with some solid OPS. With that being said, his numbers in the month of June are much, much better. He's playing on a tear right now, or he was for the Royals, now comes to the Mariners at a pretty opportune time. How long this has been brewing, I don't know, because obviously with the injury to Ty, having Santana is really impactful, and he can come in and impact that. But obviously now he can step into that sort of thing. With that being said, he doesn't strike out very much. He walks a lot. So this is going to be, and if he keeps up his June form, this will be really great for this offense to score more runs. So with the way that the season has gone, it is interesting to see the Mariners in this sort of buy now mode. But I'm excited to see what Santana can bring, because it's certainly better than some of the guys that we have on this ball club currently. We'll move over to league-related notes here as we wrap up the Mariners section. On the 24th, Aaron Judge and the Yankees settled arbitration at $19 million this year. So the Yankees slugger and the organization avoid arbitration. He can earn $25K in bonuses for winning the MVP award or the World Series award, World Series MVP award. He still becomes a free agent at the end of the season. So it'll be really interesting to see if the Yankees and Judge are able to come up with some number for him to sign this upcoming offseason, or if he ends up somewhere else. As long as he ends up in the National League, I'm okay with that. And as long as it's not the Yankees. On the 25th, keeping up with the Yankees in the news, the Astros no-hit the Yankees. So Christian Javier, Hector Neris, and Ryan Presley all combined for a no-hitter of the Yankees. The Astros become the first team to no-hit the Yankees since 2003. That's a long time. So that's pretty cool to see, and especially considering the fact that the Yankees got no hit. So we look ahead for the Mariners in their upcoming series here. They return home to T-Mobile Park tonight, starting a 3-game series against the Baltimore Orioles. June 27th versus the Orioles is a 7:10 start. June 28th versus the Orioles is also a 7:10 start. And then June 29th versus the Orioles is a Wednesday matinee game. That is a 1:10 start. Then they play a 4-game series against the Oakland Athletics to wrap up the homestand. June 30th versus the Athletics and July 1st, are both 7:10 starts. And then July 2nd and 3rd are both 1:10 p.m. starts. So the Mariners have a great opportunity against two relatively struggling ball clubs to find themselves at 500, hopefully, if they can have a successful homestand by the All-Star break.